Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and Lightbody Academy. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I am an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, new paradigm visionaries, and wayshowers. We have perceptions and abilities that perhaps our larger human family do not embrace. So therefore, we have very unique aspects to the human experience that we find challenging. And I am here to do my best to provide a liberated perspective to these challenges. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let me make sure everything is working okay before I go further. I still have another option to go live. Hopefully it is. Hello, dear Spirit Bound. Good to see you. That must mean that we're coming through. And let me know if the sound is okay, please. I would really appreciate that. All right, so some technical difficulties happened before I got on. And what happened was the questions for today have been lost. I can't find them anywhere. So I'm going to take that as synchronicity of the universe intervening because there's something else that perhaps is more important for us to talk about. Hello, 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 dear Sister Gina. Hi, Polly. How are you? Happy to be here too. All right. So one of the things that was in my mind to talk about was timelines. There was a dear Sister Starshine that recently sent me a message asking, in my perspective, how does one affirm their organic timeline over their synthetic one? Or, you know, a timeline where it involves AI technology and synthetic realities, this kind of thing. So I do want to talk about that because I think there's some perspective here that can really help bring in additional awareness, like expand the landscape a bit to see that there's a much bigger picture going on than just organic and technology. Though that is a really big thing right now in the collective. I'm sure all of you guys can relate with that. And the other thing that, and while I was trying to find the questions, I came across dear Sister Starshines, Christina Ashley from our group, her post. And it was, I think this is Jason Christoph, or that's the person that this post comes from. And it has a quote. And this here, the reason why this is kind of like a meme. I mean, this here, the reason why I'm sharing it is because the past couple lunchtime chats, I've been talking about control systems, specifically the ones that are overseen by the energies of Saturn. Okay, so that's why I bring this up, because it's a wonderful opportunity to just refine that understanding a little bit more. All right, so it says, no one will ever trust a politician, a reporter, a doctor, a nurse, a radio station, a newspaper, or a scientist ever again. The old system is dying because it's based on death, deceit, and despair. A new truth-based system is rising that will take the place of all these failed, rotting systems and the corrupt souls who work within it. All the evil systems are collapsing because they have to. Okay. Now, for those of you who are in the Rise group, in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human Facebook group, you have access to all the comments, right? There are lots, and there's some very interesting comments. Kind of sort of in the same vein, but there's some pieces that are all over the map, you know. And for me, when I hear this, it's like this is speaking to the fall of structures, exactly like what I was talking about with Saturn, because Saturn is the overseer, let's say, of these control systems, such as the medical system, such as our politics and governance and our education system and stuff like this. And there were some comments like in defense of like, not all doctors are bad, not all nurses are bad, not all this or that, right? So this is true when you're looking at the individual, because when you're looking at the individual, they are not in a stereotype in a group. They are being judged or say weighed according to their character, how they've treated you particularly, or how they treated your family members specifically. You know what I mean? So that is an individual thing. And of course, they are going to be weighed by their, like I said, individual character. But what the Saturn energy is highlighting, that it's about systems that support a culture that can drive corruption, as in a perfectly normal human being, one that has good intentions for humanity. They want to do good. They want to serve their fellow humans. They started off sincere, right? And they get indoctrinated and incorporated into the structure's culture. And that culture actually is something that shuts them down, numbs them out. It skews their perspective. So it's more about the trained behavior than the presence of their humanity. You see what I mean? And it's a gradual shift. It's a gradual movement of consciousness. It's not like, you become a hardened physician overnight. And not that all physicians are hardened. There's a lot of people who are doing the best they can and don't even realize that they've lost themselves into a system because they're just focused on doing what they need to do to live their life, to squeeze out some kind of happiness out of all the efforts that they've made. You guys can see this? So the narrative, the voice behind that particular quote is, I believe this is what they're trying to touch on, that the people who continue to invest themselves in systems that dehumanize, that pretty much rob the people of their very essence. It's like their soul even, this is what's going to die. People relating to Saturn energies in a way that is stifling, that is full of trauma and pain. And you see stuff like this. This is what has to die. And the thing is, we have to let it crumble within us, our own belief systems and stuff, and tendrils tied into that we need that structure, right? We need to pull all that stuff out for ourselves, and that will help accelerate the crumbling of the system. The major flaw, in my opinion, is that the system that we have has rejected or even demonizes holistic medicine and holistic principles for wellness. Now, I know many, many, many people who have healed themselves from incurable diseases. People who were given the directive at their discharge by their physician that they need to get their affairs in order as quickly as possible because they are not going to live out the year. People like this who decide, I am absolutely not going to die. I do not want to die. I'm going to find out what I need to do to make myself well again. And they figure it out. And then they tell the story 20 years later, right? So I'm kind of like, I'm capsuling many people's experiences into one kind of like archetypal experience, but this really happens. This is why the holistic movement is never going to go away, because so many people do find their healing in this. And there's many converted doctors, it was Dr. Day. I can't remember her first name. Maybe it's Ann Day from the Cleveland Clinic. She was in charge of some department for like 20 years. She gets diagnosed with breast cancer. She goes through the whole allopathic medicine system and of treating it, chemo, mastectomy, all this stuff, and it did all that, and they still didn't get it. And she was still given a grim diagnosis. She rejected that and just started doing her research in the direction she felt compelled to go, and discovered a holistic way to cure, heal from these kinds of things. And she was blackballed. She was blackballed from her community for doing that. So if we can if that new wave of Saturn structure can get processed through enough of the collective, I really believe there is a place for these two systems to come together as one. So a lot of the foundation principles of allopathic medicine have to leave the scene. One is medicine for profit, right? Big pharma, major funder of the character assassination of holistic practitioners, right? So this, what he's saying is really profound. And I love the responses that you guys gave, because this is, you guys are awake to the difference between the individual versus the structure. Now, eventually, if you keep selling yourself out to the structure, you will become very closed down. That's just how it is. So there's a point in time where the person selling themselves out to the structure, they're accountable for that, right? They're accountable for that. And that is because you're accountable for how you take care of your soul. If you do not take care of your soul, right, there are repercussions to that. And I'm not saying karma, I'm just saying there's a cause and effect. There's a cause and effect that happens. We harden, our heart closes, we become numbed out. That's the kind of stuff that happens with soul loss, when we constantly make decisions against our very soul. So this is a do or die kind of time that we're in. And we need to continue to be choosing that which nourishes our soul, that which feeds our very nature. This is how, in my opinion, this is how we make it through with our humanity intact. And let me, before I start going into the timeline in synthetic versus organic stuff, I need to do the activation first. So please let me know if what I'm saying is making sense, and I'll go ahead and pause the activation, then we'll go into the next piece. All right. Are we on both the Facebook and? Please let me know. This says it's live, but the Facebook thing has a, yeah, I guess I'm just not allowed to go on Facebook anymore. That's crazy. That is. Okay, let me get to it. So for those of you who want to dive deeper into this activation process that I'm about to do, I have two things that I want to mention. And one is that I learned this from a very wise woman. She and her name is Barbara Hand Clow, and this was a body of work that she spent decades fleshing out. It started with the Pleiadian agenda, and then it by activating and working with groups of people. And I was in several of those groups. She cultivated the content for Alchemy of the 9 Dimensions. The Alchemy of 9 Dimensions is diving deep into this activation process, and it's providing all of the research and scientific evidence to back up her theory, her hypothesis. All right. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you, Lavana. All right. Gina Griffin says, I haven't taken an OTC or RX med except birth control in 17 years. I also haven't been sick in all that time. Yeah. Not seeing on there. Bev Isla Wellness Camp. I think there's a typo in there. Dear. Okay, so let me get back to our activation. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Took art class long time ago, and that my art teacher was like, many more lines are a lot more accurate than one line. Okay. All right. So at the base of our axis is 1D. This is the synonymous with our root chakra frequency. So if you guys are interested in looking at this through the model of chakras, this would be the Muladhara, right? This is a frequency that is in the spectrum of red, okay? And it also, as it grows past the as that chakra consciousness grows past the experience of being separated from the garden, let's say, or separated from the Pachamama, once it grows past the barriers of separation, there's a time when the core of the earth, the consciousness of the Pachamama, is in full resonance with that frequency. And this is where you become a child of the universe. Okay. And when I'm talking about a child of the universe, this means your root chakra is no longer something that is separate from the core. They are in their frequency, they are synonymous. Okay. So that means the actual consciousness of the earth is a frequency with a core baseline survival frequency within your body. Okay. So, so the frequency of all the different flavors of the Muladhara and all the different flavors of mantra, of sounds, and all the different dynamics of the petals and different things like this, those actually begin to melt away, and that chakra is no longer a vortex at a rhythm that is unique to your body, your consciousness, right? So that means it's transcended the wounding that often is contained within the root chakra. It's often, so that means you're that particular vortex of your body is liberated from the things that make it in a different frequency than the core of the mother. So this is a major opening within one's consciousness when you get initiated into the core, because this actually brings you the feeling of the soul coming back home to the mother. Okay, those of you who've done healing work, you understand what I mean with this. So once those two energies become synonymous, right, then your frequency, your light body is now poised for much further activation. So the activation happens. This is why the shift comes from the inside out, guys. So the activation starts at this base level, and then the rest of your cells of your body start to shift in their frequency to be in harmony with this new rhythm frequency that is what used to be what you would consider your root chakra. Okay. So, and this is partially why I don't really talk about chakras very much. One of the many reasons why. There's several. I mean, you guys in the academy know a lot more reasons why, but for this conversation, by defining it like that, it is me triggering or me constantly hitting the resonance of the programs of separation within your root chakra. Okay. So we in the academy work at upgrading our light bodies, upgrading our frequencies. And this means that we have a very different energy system. We start growing a very different energy system than what the old paradigm human has been living with. Okay. So the old paradigm human has a structure that has been mapped out by wisdom keepers over many thousands of years. And this time of change of consciousness is including a change, an upgrade, a shifting of that structure, so that light body blueprint, more pieces of it are becoming activated, and that is actually changing our energetic anatomy as well. Okay. So once, as I said, once that root chakra frequency is now synonymous with the center of the earth, you've awoken, you made the first step to awakening your subconscious and your being to being a universal human being, a child of the universe, rather than a child of your parents, a child of, you see what I mean, a child of your lineage. Not that your lineage isn't important, it's very important, but if they're on a deep level, you're liberated from, say, living the momentum of what you've inherited. Okay, so that's the root. And then the next lens up is it's below our belly button and pubic bone. And this is the lens that allows us to engage and perceive the cellular, the telluric realm of our physical body, but also the telluric realm of the nature around us. So the telluric realm is, not just atoms and molecules and the dance that they do to create cells and functions like this, but it's also viruses and bacteria. It's the ionic exchanges, ionic universe that's happening in your gut. It's your microbiome. It's all the different separate creatures within us that are part of us, of being us, right? So so there's that kind of thing, but there's also the foundations of which all 3D is built on. The foundations of which all 3D is built on, that is telluric realm as well. So you have earth beings, you have stone people, you have plant people, you have water beings, you know what I mean? We have wind people. So there's all these other levels of existence that we all interact with on a regular basis, but we're just not aware. And many of us are not aware that what we're engaging with actually does have a memory, actually does have a consciousness, right? Until we do wake up to that. And then we wake up to some profound wisdom. We can now tap into pain inside of us, and with our awareness start to allow it to unravel. We can actually start liberating aspects of our body. We can start liberating aspects of our ancestry once we learn how to engage with the telluric aspects of our physicality and or of the earth, right? So the telluric realm is a very, very powerful place to be working. Healers very often work with a big focus within the telluric realm. Maybe they know it, maybe they don't. You know, when you start opening things up on this level, those higher dimensional frequencies start coming into view really quickly too. So it's not just an isolated kind of thing. All right, so telluric realm lens, then we have our 3D lens. This is also below the navel, and this is our ability to perceive space, engage in this reality with all the different rules that we have laid out. We have ideas, so we're living through beliefs and stories of how reality is. We're actually living that. So we have all these stories that we're given about reality, and then that actually becomes the reality that we live. Okay. This is because we're walking through space with this biosuit and these senses. So when you are we get trained with stories, and we're told what certain experiences mean. And in that training, we frame up reality like that. And that's the point of view that we take. So our 3D space is actually a magical wonderland. It's just that we're taught the opposite of the truth. And so we don't know who we are. We don't know, you know what I mean? We believe all these lies about our reality, like, you know, different restrictions and limitations and stuff like this. And therefore we live it, right? So our 3D is something that we humans, this is, as we awaken, this is something that's necessary for us to reclaim, to retake our custodialship of the 3D space, so we can return it back to that magical wonderland that it can be. Okay, and then we have our 4D lens right here. 4D. Our canopy, this is where all the other upper dimensional frequencies get filtered through this lens. So everything you think about yourself, all your beliefs, all the beliefs of your ancestry, everything like this is cultivating the 4D lens. Nowadays, on top of the momentum of our ancestry informing our lens, we have massive infiltration of technology influencing our lenses. So this is, you know, people like chronic gaming. You guys, there's all kinds of frequencies within the light, and there's all kinds of engagements happening when you're spending most of your time in that gaming. So there's like, they've mastered, I mean, there's a whole science out there on how to influence synaptic patterns with light, with different kinds of light. And this is, what a lot of people are filling the void in their lives with, is with this gaming stuff. So technical electronic AI interference with this 4D field is absolutely something to be concerned about. It is something that's really happening. But there's so much more, right? That the gaming thing is just the human part of it, but there's all sorts of other technologies getting implemented to help us fill a void that's inside, that filters how we see things, how we perceive, how we engage in our reality, all this stuff. So when you get a higher frequency being or some sort of beam of consciousness, because that's kind of like how it happens for many of us, then it'll start triggering these other electronic programs, right? And so the programs will have more of your attention, like the imagery, the sounds, the storyline engagement will have more of your attention than the actual energy behind it, which is a higher dimensional being making contact with you. Sometimes it's your own higher self, right? This is what I mean about that 4D field being a filter for all these higher frequencies. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, the live session is not on the Facebook group I met. Oh, I know. I totally saw that too. So yeah, if you guys can just let the folks know if in Facebook that we're here, that would be helpful. I think we're just gonna, I love our community. I really do. I love our Rise community on Facebook. But what's happening is that there's shenanigans going on, and we're getting targeted, even though we're such a small group compared to others out there that are hundreds of thousands or whatever. But evidently there's people that belong to our group that are tagged and they're pretty much persecuting us we're guilty by association, Anyway, so I think we're gonna drop the Facebook thing for a while. Let me get back to what we're talking about. Okay, so we have our 4D thing. Now then we have our 5D field, the heart field, right? So this is our doorway into infinity. This is our doorway into this is the doorway into us experiencing oneness, right? But there's these certain layers of reality, dimensions of reality we have to get through before that oneness can come into our awareness, if you were to look at it like a linear travel. Now, there is a way to just close your eyes and be in the oneness without all that, but that's a different kind of travel. Usually people, when they're listening with their minds, they prefer a linear progression to get to where they're going. So they have an idea of, it's easier for us to imagine our movement like an arrow through space versus sitting still and having space move around us until we are tuned in to the place we want to be. And this is really the secret about timelines, but I'll pause there because that's jumping ahead. Is jumping ahead. All right, so 6D field. Sorry, no, 5D. So this is the gateway of the heart. This is the doorway into the of timelessness. And because, right, we all have this experience of when we're in love, when we love what we're doing, or we love the company we're in, or we're having an amazing time. It's like time doesn't exist. And oftentimes we'll go from that kind of engagement back into our lives, so to speak, and it'll be like time flew by. Maybe it felt like you're together with somebody for an hour and you go back to your car and you realize it was 5, right? We've had stuff like this happen. So it's that field, that electromagnetic field of the heart, that allows us to be freed from time, from linear time, not just the organic linear time of the 4D, but also the constructed time, the manufactured time, right? Manufactured time is clocks and calendars and, all the different ways that humanity has measured time or does measure time in the here and now. So the heart is the gateway into timelessness, being beyond, busting the bounds of linear time. And the other beautiful thing about exploring with this lens is that you can come to places within yourself, within the reality where time becomes cyclical, as in you recognize healing that you can do in your past to impact your here and now, or healing that you can do calling yourself back from the future into the here and now, right? This is the idea of cyclical time. In the 5D, this is the doorway to accessing that. Okay. And once you go through that doorway of that love gate, let's call it, our body, our physiology actually changes when we feel love, when we feel bliss, when we feel compassion. We actually have a smile inside, and our tissues, our muscles relax, and we open. Along with that is a hormonal cascade. And that hormonal cascade has endorphins and other kinds of hormonal engagement that further relaxes our body, that further opens our body to be able to perceive things in a different way, Okay, so this is why so many of us have epiphanies when we're driving the car and we're just on automatic, or we're in the shower. It's because we're setting the state within our being to be in this. We're just relaxed, and when we're in that relaxed state, the other parts of ourselves can come through, and we have that brilliant idea. We have that epiphany. We have that that aha to how to solve the problem we've been struggling to solve. Right? Okay. Let me check in. Dear Soul Schooling, hello, darling. Keith says the gaming entrapment is taking a step up with the metaverse. Yes. And as a lifelong gamer, I can definitely see it's time to quit the games. Okay. That's Keith. And then Bev says, any quantum possibility to fast forward through 5D? Yes, actually, that's exactly what I'm talking about right now, is there's a need when we're with our logical mind, when we're with our conscious mind, there's a need for us, because of our training and conditioning, there's a need for us with our awareness to be like it's traveling like an arrow through time and space. But when we can open ourselves to this relaxed state, we can actually direct what kind of time space we're going to be in. And it comes to you versus you having a sense of doing this with your awareness, right? Instead, you're sitting back and relaxing, and space opens. And as that space opens, where your intention goes pulls that energy to you. Okay. This is a master tracking ability. That's a big piece. Still, there's more. So let me keep going, and I'm going to keep coming back to that. 6D. This is our light body, our blueprint. This is key to what she's asking, because the light body blueprint in the old paradigm had certain layers of awareness shut down. It was shut down for many, many, many reasons. I won't get into those reasons why, but they were like rendered dormant. Those DNA dance patterns were rendered dormant. And as we wake up to who we are in a much bigger level as a child of the universe, right? This root chakra becomes synonymous and one with the core of the earth. As that happens in our energetic body and we advance, then other encodements come in, and these once dormant aspects of your light body start waking up. And once that wakes up, the awareness of multidimensionality becomes something very natural and second nature. Our awareness of these abstract spaces and how we can engage in them become very normal. It's like dream time all of a sudden becomes something that we really recognize as something that truly is happening before it comes into form. Okay, so this is like these deep knowings start to come online as those parts of the light body wake up. And they they move more, right? And they activate deeper DNA dances. So there's certainly this kind of thing that's going on. And then there's the 7D field. So along with that root activation with the Pachamama is waking up. See, these cycles that are ending, that's causing this consciousness to wake up, it's not just the humans, it's our sun, it's our planets, it's our galaxy, it's the universe we're in. This is a massive awakening. It's not just the human race. It's not just Earth. Okay, this is, we gotta let this get open bigger in our imagination. Imagine we are at a time where the very planet that we're on is having a massive upgrade. It's waking up. The sun that we orbit around is waking up synonymously with that. So we are, this is why it's unstoppable, because these beings are the core to the light within us. They are at the very core of who we are, right? So this is really significant to wake up to, because then you can be freed from a lot of this bullshit happening on the 4D level, like the idea of corporations have the rights of people, have human rights. Corporations having human rights. Okay, now a corporation is a 4D construct before it's anything else, right? It's a vision, right? There's a mission statement. Then there's a legal structure. Then you see what I mean? And the legal structure is really what gives it weight, because now you have multiple humans in consensus that this company exists, and if this company exists and this is its purpose. Do you see how we create this? We give this idea a shape, a form to be in our reality. If we didn't have our consensus, it would never be so on this 3D plane. Okay. 60 is the light body. It's the light shapes behind all matter. You can also look into Platonic solids. This is the light geometry theorized by Plato, hence its name Platonic solids, where he outlined a shape, a polygon, a three-dimensional polygon light shape that is behind every base element: earth, fire, air, water, stuff like this. So that's the 60. So let me go back to the core. The earth is waking up to a whole nother level of itself. It's like a massive soul retrieval, let's say. And as that happens, once our root chakras are actually synonymous with that core, and we've made that upgrade, that means we're upgrading along with her without exception. It's unstoppable. Okay. Even those that have who are living in a reality where their chakra wounding and past life and all that stuff is still weighing them down in their bodies and informing them of that frequency, they too, it is inevitable, because we are all children of the earth. We all have biosuits that are made up of the telluric elements of this planet, right? So there's only so far divorced you can get from that without completely dying, not having an inert biosuit. Oh, and I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. So that core resonance of the Pachamama that's advancing, that also enhances our soul song, enhances the core tone to our very being. So this is where the shifting of the core of the earth is actually a universal shift as well. As this happens, we shift out of a finite universe. We shift out of the finite version of the Milky Way galaxy. We actually start to phase out of that reality. Okay. And before I go on, I'm about to want to go on a tangent about AI, but hold on, let me finish this. All right, and then we have the all that is. The all that is. This is where a lot of people hear councils, galactic federations, blah, 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 all this stuff. So these are all consciousness that are engaged in, and some of them are self-designated caretakers, let's say, like humans should be of the 3D, but caretakers of access to that oneness consciousness. Not that they're in charge of it or the boss of it, though many have played that role and acted like they are on this planet. They've done that to humans, but they're more of like guardians, as in witnesses for when you awaken. Yeah, that's the better way to say it. They're more like space holders and witnesses for one to witness one awakening to that part of themselves. That's their original function, and that's their higher level function. The ones that feel like they're in charge and they're making mandates and certain dictations to other beings, those are the ones that are power over dynamics. This is also falling away. So and this is why some people think that certain races are bad and other races are good, and you know what I mean? Because the ones that like to manipulate, how they manipulate is by creating separation. Like this person over there is not your friend. That enemy is right over there, or you're good and they're evil. And then they'll start feeding how you're so good and benevolent, narrative. And as you invest in that means you have to invest that these guys over here are the bad guys, right? So there are beings that do manipulate at this level, but humanity is waking up past that, past the point where they can be manipulated like that, because they can see even beyond that. And this is why it's so important to wake up out of the God poison, right? You got to be able to wake up beyond that. If you're a good, virtuous being, you are subservient to another being that created you. Okay. That program has got to end in order for you to wake up beyond who you are beyond that. Okay. All right. 90. Oh, look at that. I grabbed a different color marker. All right, 90. That's the core of the Milky Way galaxy. This is you, who you are seeing behind the eyes of the being that is the Milky Way. Imagine that. Imagine the Milky Way galaxy is inside of you and is actually behind your eyes looking out into this world. Just imagine that. Yeah, see, you might notice that you have to, like, there's a resistance inside because that means you have to let go of different thoughts and ideas of who you think you are. You actually have to let go of male, female. You need to let go of even being human to be able to allow that depth of expansion to be there. Okay. All right. Quantum possibility. Yeah. Fast forward through 4D. Yes. So back here. So I think this is also going along with the timeline thing that our dear sister Starshine was asking about earlier. How do I pull myself out of the false timelines and back to the organic timeline? And the false timelines are the timelines that are where we're controlled by AI technology, where technology has dominance over nature, where humans, the transhuman agenda is alive there. Computers control our world, all that stuff. Okay. And what I want to say is that us versus them narrative. Okay. And I'm not saying 8D means that. I'm talking about power over dynamics that have interfered with our access to this. Beings that have interfered with our access to this, right? This is what I'm talking about. Power over dynamics like that. So in the old paradigm, we lived out as a galactic beings in a human body, as infinite beings in a human body. We carried with us the history, the ramifications of a galactic war. Okay, and that galactic war, some people call it the Orion War, some call it the the never-ending war. But pretty much what that war boiled down to was a disagreement between evolving consciousness through organic means versus evolving consciousness through technological means. Okay, so the old you, the old version of you in a biosuit in the old paradigm, is influenced by the ripple effects of that event. Okay, so this is like the destruction of Lyra, the war of the reptilian wars, the dragon wars, the angel wars, all these different pieces, all these different beings that we have in that history going at war and dominating and creating something that dear brother George Vassilis calls empire. And he believes in and actually shows his people in his crew how empire is a structure, even on a cosmic arena level, a power over dynamic, a system whose structures are based on life force being a commodity. Okay, that's how he portrays it. I feel like the power over dynamics goes a little bit even beyond that, in the sense of this endless warring that we have is actually what we're challenged to see through. This idea that technology is evil and organic is the only good and virtuous thing. Okay, that is a program in the old universe, in the old version. I'm going to say old paradigm version of galaxy. That is the version of the galaxy that has a black hole in the center of it. Okay. And if you explore this work by a gentleman named Johann Kalaman, he discovered that a lot of the Mayan statues and effigies and stuff were telling a tale of creation waves emanating out of the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And each creation wave was an organizing force to consciousness. Okay. There's 9 waves altogether. I've done some talks about this in the past, and really, there's more waves now, and people are waking up out of the black hole universe, or the black hole Milky Way version anyway, right? So what's happening is that the very last wave of that reality of the old paradigm was the wave of technology. This is where our consciousness needed to deal with the acceleration process with technology as part of the organizing force to our consciousness. Okay. If you don't believe me, please do your own research on that. Barbara Hand Clow wrote a book called The Mayan Code, and Johann Kalaman, it was based on Johann Kalaman's book, 9 Ways of Creation. So these two is the primary influence of my understanding of this, though my sense of and experience of this is my own, just from the work that I've done over the decades, right? So it's just that they give me a wonderful way to explain it. They give me a platform where we connect. Normally, sharing this kind of information or understanding would require years and years of training, initiates. And then after a certain level of consciousness wakes up within them, then I can convey to the initiates, what it is that I'm saying. But that's not the case. Things are accelerated now. So we have tools like this to our disposal for us to convey these things to the folks that, that are showing up for that, right? So there's the old paradigm, means we're leaving the Milky Way galaxy version of the Milky Way galaxy. That's the black hole. Okay. And that means those creation waves that are the organizing force to our consciousness are also shifting. We are shifting away from that, or actually away from that might not be a better way. The right way to say it. It could be better to say that we are integrating more fully past that. So that means technology isn't necessarily something to be rejected. Technology is something to be harmonized. Technology needs to be harmonized with the expansion and awakening to our sovereignty as multidimensional beings. Okay. So when you are trying to choose, when you want to choose a timeline without technology, without synthetic consciousness presence, I don't think that there's one out there for you, for any of us. Now, that's my opinion. If there's someone who knows something better for themselves, that's great. Please, share. But I feel like we need to be it's an all-inclusive thing. All of us are in this together, moving in this direction, because all of us are in the solar ring on this planet. All of us are within the Milky Way galaxy that's having this upgrade as well. Okay. So instead, what I would recommend doing is, really solidifying, galvanizing, that's a better way to say it, really galvanizing your connection to Pachamama. Galvanize your connection with nature, galvanize your connection with others who also are connected with nature. Okay. Now, right now, it could be very few and far between in these communities. I understand that many of us are isolated for lots of reasons, but even before the lockdowns and shenanigans, we kind of had a level of isolation too, because we only kind of resonated so far with the groups that we had available to us to associate with, whether it be spiritual groups or metaphysical groups or exercise groups or nature groups, whatever, So we still had a sense of a little bit of separation with that. But now things are changing big time. Our light bodies are upgrading. We are becoming that new human that has been said to becoming, right? So, and you can tell this by your energy body is changing. The things that are necessary for you to be alive and engaged with this world are changing. Discipline is not as much as just a little bit about it. It's like we just kind of wake up one day and we feel different about things. We want different things. We care about different things. That's a sign that your light body is upgrading. That's a sign that your system is now pacing itself with the upgrades that are happening within the earth, within the consciousness of the Pachamama herself. Okay. So these are intense times, and we can find ourselves in a downward spiral of despair but do know that there's a point in time where we need to make a choice of resonance for ourselves, of choosing our soul instead of choosing the program. And that could be a very difficult moment. We need to do what we need to do to sustain this marathon, because this shenanigans is not the first shenanigans to go down. After we recover out of this, it's going to be something else. Some say it's fake alien invasion. Some say that it's a food shortage. Some say that, it's going to be, aliens, some sort of major alien illusionary performance in the air. So it's not quite an invasion, but it is something where masses of people are going to see it at one time, and it'll be undeniable, and the government will actually acknowledge it this time. So there's lots of different narratives of possibility. But remember that the now is where it's most important. So do what you need to do to be in your humanity, in your now, so you can make choices from that space. The other thing that people can do, and I don't know, it takes skill and focus to be able to do this, is that you can actually travel timelines and explore them. The trick and the trick and the rub of that is that the timelines that you engage where you have a strong emotional response, you've now triggered that timeline to start informing you in the here and now. Okay, so it takes a disciplined focus to do that kind of journeying, but it is possible for all of us to do that. I encourage people to do this, to take this ability, cultivate this kind of ability with dream time, because in your dream time, as you work out your lens of who you think you are and you work out the wounding with the dream time work, then you become in direct connection with the deepest aspects of your own spirit, and then you're enhancing that connection by constantly engaging with what kind of, with that dialogue of what that is. So this is something that I prefer to do, because it's something that, dreaming is maybe more of a passive thing, in the sense that your ego driver can only interfere so much, and of course lucid dreams are really potent for people, because that stuff does not go away. That stays vividly in your awareness until you see it through. All right, so there's a few comments here. Let me get to them. All right, what is 60 again? Yeah, I said that. Also, if you get a chance, would you please explain what you said about the moon not being real? This made me feel kind of sad all week, and since you talked about it. Sure, yeah, well, there's going to be a grieving with that. As our light bodies upgrade, there is a massive grieving process too that's going to go along with that, because our light bodies are changing, our energy anatomy is changing, and there is great loss of who we once were. We will grieve that for sure. So the sadness can be, because there's lots of, on lots of levels. So I want to say not being real. I'm saying what we think it is not what it really is. It really is up there, a satellite out there. It really is something that we see. It really does have energetic engagement with our reality. All that is true. It's just, what it actually is and its origins. That's more of what's happening here. So yeah, it's hollow. The moon is hollow, and it was towed here. It's a ship that was kind of a ship, maybe a trailer for a ship, and it was brought in here. And I don't know if you saw that NASA article, but they're talking about there's a second moon behind this moon. NASA said that. And I posted that article in this group, because I was just like, oh boy, stuff is really exploding now. I was really excited that they did that. So anyway, yeah. All right. So Keith says, I think that's why parenthood is such an important part of the journey. To know the mind of God is to be a parent. Ooh, let that one sink in. All the questions I had about why the world is the way it is were answered. Oh, that's beautiful. My prediction, all three, a sky event. Oops, hold on. Someone's trying to email me. A sky event, aliens land, and turn into food. Oh, that's funny. And Bev says, I saw a photo of that. It was cool. Okay. I think she's talking about the alien invasion. Yeah. Yeah, I had a dream about this too. And I was aware that, I became aware that there were some ET consciousness in that dream as well. And that's the other thing, reason why you want to work with dreams is because there are ET beings, interdimensional beings that they have an interest in making contact with us and developing a relationship, because all of the universe is waking up. Humanity is coming more towards reclaiming our citizenship as a child of the universe, right? We are a child that belongs to the larger multiverse, even, and we have to reclaim our autonomy on those levels. And this is something that we can't get around because it's opening from the inside out. Now we just get to ride it with our ego drivers, with our consciousness as the witness of how this goes down. See, everybody was excited about it until this started happening. And then we're like, oh, crap, that's real intense. And then we see, the intensity is not just for a year or two. Oh, crap, this intensity could keep going for another decade or 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Okay. Gina says, so if the moon was made, does it not actually control the tides of the ocean? And is it not linked to women's cycles? No, it's linked to all those things. Yes, it's linked to all those things. Mm-hmm. Definitely. The moon affects the tides of the planet, and it affects the tides of our own body, right? So that's not just menstrual cycles. That's also hormone cycles. That's also circadian rhythms. There's lots of subtle rhythms within this biosuit. All of them can be influenced and in many cases are influenced by the presence of the moon, for sure. Okay, let's see. Okay, one more piece and then I'm going to wrap up for today. I want to go back to this 4D field. The key, and this is something that none of y'all will like unless you've done it and seen the wisdom in it. The key to busting out of the 4D blindness is challenging yourself to see as all sides of the argument or all sides of the issue as being true. Okay? So that means, and let's take the most highly charged topic that we have going on right now, which is mandates, right? Unless there's one more highly charged, you guys, you think more than that. But the only way through the 4D grip, and this is programming, this is, inception, there's all kinds of stuff. I'm talking about the whole kit and caboodle that's got humanity bent right now. All right. The key to getting past it is being able to engage with the narrative, with the possibility that it could be true. That means the one that you resonate with, but also means the one that you think is a lie, the one that you think is, the one that is wrong in your opinion. If you can actually, okay, because listen, the mind is brilliant. We can rationalize anything. The smarter you are, the kind of more difficulty you have with this, because you want to rationalize, because you can rationalize everything, right? So try to rationalize everything that's on the opposite side of the argument that you're on. I mean, give it your best effort. Give it your best effort. That's all. And you don't need to necessarily, there's no benchmark of success, except what will happen is that you will not have so much frustration and charge inside of your body. It won't be held inside of your body anymore. You'll be engaging it, right? And in the engagement of it, you're bringing a bigger perception and awareness to it. And then all of a sudden you'll find that you actually have compassion. A moment, even if it's just a moment, you'll have compassion for those locked into this narrative that is, choking out humanity, that is having a really negative impact on the quality of life. Okay. Once you do that, you become liberated to the trappings, to the enslavement of that program. That's what happens. These programs trigger our emotions, and then we suppress our emotions. And once we do that, now it's locked in. And we are actively participating in locking it in by our resistance. Okay. There you go. So I know it's rough. And I know it may not be something that anybody is interested in doing, but if you want to be done with this frustration, or you want to just have this tool to help you deal with the intensity of what's going on, you'll find it very quick. You'll find it very effective. Okay. Polly says, prismatic thinking, seeing all sides is peace. There you go. There you go, Polly. Yeah. In my humble opinion, the reason this exercise is to have ego humility and to be empathic towards those who seem to be choosing so incredibly different from us. Sure. But it's words. It's only words until it's the actual way you feel. And that is the big piece. A lot of people say they're at peace because they're so good at intellectualizing. They're at peace with stuff. But really, when you look at their energy and the undercurrent, they're pissed. You know, there's all kinds of rumbling going on deep in their abdomen, deep in their belly, you know. So authenticity is key. It has to be truly a feeling inside. If it's not a feeling, it's just surface stuff. Okay. All righty. So, you know what? I may have not finished one of those thoughts in there, but I want to say, if you guys want to dive deeper into this 9D teachings, you want to check out Barbara Hand Clow 2012.com. She's still around. She's still putting stuff out right now. She's doing a multidimensional activating trilogy. It's a work of fiction, and I hear it's very, very good. From people in our community that have read the trilogy. So maybe you guys want to check that out, support her in that way. Also, I want to let you guys know that we have an advanced training that we're doing. All right, so normally this work is not what we do in Lightbody. In Lightbody, we are all about unwinding blind spots, and we use dream time, we use energy tracking, we use clearing work, we use all these different methods. This is very specific to the chats because this is a technique to open people up to other perceptions and ideas and to activate their consciousness, right? But there's a very rare thing about to happen in February, and I want to let you guys know about it, is that we're going to do an advanced teaching in our academy for those that want to potentially facilitate these activations for your own people. Okay, and this will be a 12-week training, which is 2 hours every Friday for 12 weeks, where I will take you step by step through not only unwinding blind spots to certain exospecies relationships that are part of the keepers of this ladder, but also give you experiences of different tools and techniques of how to deliver for delivering an activation like this. So just so you guys know, keep an eye out for that. That's coming in February. And let's see, I guess that's it. And for those of you who want to jump into working with the Lightbody Academy in shifting your reality, we have a wonderful program called Quantum Reality Shift. And it's we call it it's a Lightbody 101 training. It's a few times a month we get together and we work on ancestral healing. We work on mastering a forgiveness practice. We work with working with energy remotely. There's lots of different ways that we engage your alternate awarenesses to help empower you to facilitate a quantum reality shift in your life. So that's the Quantum Reality Shift. You can find that at lightbodyacademy.com. All right, guys. Thank you for being here and being a part of this conversation. I will see you guys next week. Mwah, mwah. Until then, bye-bye.